Ivan started the car, and we headed to the club where Katie and Lena had been abducted. Initially, I'd planned to go straight to the mansion, but Tatiana was already at the crime scene, as she'd told me over the phone. On the way, Ivan brought me up to speed. It had happened in the club's parking lot about an hour earlier. Katie and Lena had danced their hearts out and stepped outside for some fresh air. They also wanted to call Ivan. Before that, their phones had been turned off, or perhaps they were just ignoring their mother's calls. In any case, they had no idea about the incident involving me. But just as Lena began dialing Ivan, a black van pulled up. A few men jumped out of it and grabbed the girls, who had tried to fight back, but couldn't, considering they'd been drinking. Their strength and magical control were impaired. It was also possible the men injected them with something, likely a sedative. The men, who were clearly not mages, shoved them into the vehicle and drove off immediately. Katie had dropped her phone in the scuffle, and Ivan, who had picked up the call, heard everything. He immediately alerted Tatiana and the Imperial Security Service. It's worth noting that the surrounding surveillance cameras had been disabled by a hacking attack. As a result, the account of the crime relied on Ivan's phone call recording and the testimony of two witnesses who'd seen the abduction from a considerable distance. How crude, I mused aloud. I'm sure they initially tried more subtle ways to lure the girls away but failed, and when they heard where I had disappeared, they opted for something simpler. I think so, too. The young mistresses never let men get close and always drink in moderation. It would have been nearly impossible to get them drunk or trick them. Ivan said, his voice tinged with anger as if it were his own daughters who had been abducted. Then we need to find everyone who was hanging around my sisters and interrogate them. I nodded, a wicked smile spreading across my face. I had plenty of divine energy to spare. Since it was nighttime, the city streets were relatively empty, and we reached the location quickly. The club and the crime scene were both cordoned off. The club was a big 2-story building. Around it was a picturesque garden where drunk patrons could get some fresh air, lounge in gazebos, or hang out on benches. In front of the building, there was a sizable parking lot, with cars still parked, which meant people were still partying in the club, which was perfect for me. Judging by the cars, this club catered not only to aristocrats, but also to commoners. Unlike the Hyena Club, this place didn't have heavily armed guards. Or perhaps they were just off duty tonight. We parked outside the cordoned area and immediately ran into an ISS officer. A quick flash of my crest was enough to get us past the barrier without questions, and an officer directed me to the person in charge, who was inside. Imagine my surprise when I saw Constantine Winters.